Hello and welcome to episode number 224 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. My guest is Ben. His channel is Taboo Conspiracy. He's always made great videos, but he seems to have made a bigger impact as of late with his most recent offering called Antarctica. Sorry, we're closed. He lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. He is a husband, a family man, and very interested in what's going on in the Flat Earth community. He's done so much, but yet a lot of people haven't heard of him yet, which is totally crazy. So let's see.
It's all right. It's all right.
You know, the thing is that sometimes people say there are, quote, bigger channels that get all the attention and smaller channels don't. But you're not a small channel. You're at this moment, which is April 14th, 2018, pushing toward 6,000 subscribers. But a lot of people are like, well, who's Taboo Conspiracy? And so this video, the one you did about Antarctica, seems to have drawn a lot of attention. What do you think it is about this video that's got people like Bob from Glowbusters, who I know you're already connected with, but to, share it, and you're going to be on the Flat Earth podcast with David Weiss and Curious Jay coming up tomorrow, which is Sunday the 15th. What have you done with this video to get so many people giving you the thumbs up?
It was actually pretty funny because I actually talked to David from Wide Awake, and I said no one's going to watch this video because it was like 30 minutes long. But I did it anyway because I wanted to do the full research and get everything out there, because I'm not sure if you get this comment all the time, but I get it, I don't know, several times a day of go take a picture of the edge. And to me, that is one of the most, I get it so often, and I try to answer and try to explain it, but nobody, it's so hard, especially with the shills and stuff, but it's very hard to explain how much bureaucracy, how much red tape, how much is there in order to actually visit Antarctica. So I think why it's spread, because we've all had those people show up on our channel and say, take a picture of the edge. And so what do you say to them? And so
I think that your video is one of those that I think many video makers are like, why didn't I make that video? Because it's one of the predominant questions that we are asked within Flat Earth. And I think it was yesterday that you and I were speaking, and I said, yeah, that's a video that someone should have come up with the idea to make a long time ago, along with, I'm hoping somebody will do this, but it's complicated. Go find all the Challenger astronauts and knock on their doors and kind of video them and get their reaction as you ask them if they really are the Challenger astronauts. That might, disintegrate into a punching fest or something. But, that would be a good one to do too. But you've given us a video in the Flat Earth community that we can actually send to people when they post a comment on our videos. So you've given us actually a working tool. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on, by the way. But I think also it applies to anybody. I mean, I don't care if you're a globe believer or a flat earther or convex, whatever. They're hiding something in Antarctica. I don't see any reasonable conclusion other than they're hiding something in Antarctica. Now, it just so happens that Antarctica happens to form the boundary to the known flat Earth world, and they're hiding flat Earth, in my opinion. But I just, even a globe supporter should be like, wait a second. There's this entire thousands and thousands of, maybe millions of square miles that are blocked off from all independent exploration. That's weird. I don't care what excuses they have about the pristine environment. Boy, they throw that word out all the time. Pristine environment.
Like they care about that. Look around us. They don't care.
Especially the Soviet Union back in 1959. I'm sure Khrushchev was really concerned with protecting the penguins in Antarctica. I mean, that's insanity.
I use penguins on the thumbnail for this video because that's where people's minds go, especially non-flat earthers, when they think about Antarctica. And for those in flat earth, we think, what are they hiding? So, I do want to say that the map for the flat earth is not settled. There are many people who do not believe there's an ice wall or, ice shelf or whatever you want to call it. They don't believe it's a circle map. But with all of that put aside, settle down, everyone. It's the map that we're kind of talking about today because it's a easy thing to refer to that everyone understands what we're talking about. There could be more land beyond the ice, possibly, or maybe what we know is all there is. I don't know if we will ever find out, but it sure is interesting as more and more people are talking about actually doing exploration. There's a guy named Mike Marshallak who I interviewed, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 10 shows ago, and he is getting it together to go do something on a plane pretty soon. So, yeah.
Which brings me to a subject that I did some research on, and I wanted to share this. I wish I would have added it to the video, but I actually have the statute until now. But it's actually, there is a statute that says that you cannot fly in Antarctica with being further than 60 minutes for a 2-engine airplane, or 180 minutes for a airplane with more than 2 engines. And what's interesting also is that this statute, which is 14 CFR 121.161, it defines the North Polar area as 78 degrees north latitude, but it defines the southern polar area as 60 degrees southern latitude. That's fascinating. Why would they have a safety provision so slanted to say don't explore Antarctica? You can fly up to 78 degrees north latitude without abiding by that law, but you can't go within 60 degrees south latitude and abide by that law. That's fascinating. Why would they have a law that's written differently for the northern latitudes and the southern latitudes?
Good question. I, quite a long time ago, maybe it was 2015 or early 2016, on one of my shows, read portions of the Antarctic Treaty. I skim read the whole thing. There's aspects in there saying that even drones, unless you get total permission for specifically where you're going to fly them, are prohibited. So, yeah. Yeah,
so when you go on there, there's a couple of places, especially in Australia, that offer flights to Antarctica. But they are still limited by the same statute. They can't fly further than 180 minutes away. Even if they're in a huge 4-jet airplane, they have to stay within 180 minutes of an airport. How far can you fly from Australia all the way to Antarctica and stay within 180 minutes of, and you got to cut that in half because you go one way, you still got to come back. So you can barely fly to maybe visit a few things along the shoreline, and then you got to turn around and fly back. And those plane tickets are 10 grand a piece. I mean, sure, I wouldn't mind flying on one, but goodness sakes, that's crazy to spend $10,000 to go see just the ice shelf.
Yes, and we can see it in pictures now. So most people would be like, well, you can't get there. And then, there's all of this, they'll shoot you down. Now, we don't really have proof of that because no one's been shot down that we know of.
That's the Jarl Onderhoy video.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's so weird that since becoming a flat earther, my belief in anything that I read is always interesting, but did it really happen?
Exactly. So, you got to question everything.
Exactly.
But I did, when I was looking through the videos, I didn't add so much to it. But there are a lot of Chilean warships that patrol that area. And there are a lot of Australian warships that patrol that area. There are a few Coast Guard ships I was able to locate, but again, there are a lot of ships out there patrolling it. And how many ships would you need? I mean, you can't really, you have to port somewhere before you begin. And once you port, you're going to be in their radar. And they'll be able to catch you pretty quickly when they start to see a vessel traveling towards that area without permission.
Well, the most famous or infamous YouTuber who talks about full exploration of Antarctica is Mr. Powerland, who I've interviewed here on this channel. He's always talking about getting snowcats and using Vegas as a gambling, way to fund the whole exploration and all of that.
Well, I wish him luck, but he's never going to get permission.
Right, that's the thing.
Are you ready to break the law, go to jail for 5 years, or be murdered? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it seems like pie in the sky. And I think that talking about it is great in a way because a lot of people who are non-flat earthers will say, oh, well, you're not exploring. Why don't you get on a plane? Why don't you get in a boat? Why are you just sitting on your butts, just talking on the internet? But the thing is that how, just how to do it. I mean, he's got a plan, but doesn't have the funding and isn't raising the funding. So therefore, right away, you can't do anything. But even if he did a GoFundMe or something, I'm sure a lot of flat earthers would chip in. He might be able to get the funds together to start getting it in action. But yet, once he got things built and ready, and a staff involved, and all the food and other supplies and the warm coats, and made sure everybody was fully acclimatized to the cold weather, because you can't just go there and, like you and I couldn't just get puffy coats and boots and go hang out there for more than a short period of time, because we're not used to it. You have to kind of go into a deep freezer in a way, in a scientific way, and stay in there for a while and continue doing that to get your body accustomed to that weather before you become a full explorer.
At the very least, we would need motorized equipment.
Yes. And he's talked about snowcats, but
prohibited.
Right. How do you get them there?
Drag a sled for 3,800 or 6,400 miles. I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's next to impossible. But that makes us quitters to say that. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. But the thing is that it can't be that we're not allowed to go there except for under supervised conditions, like the movie stars and royalty and diplomats have done. And especially lately, there's been tons of them going there since Flat Earth came into the picture in 2015, just to say, look, we're here. There's no problem. I mean, that's what that's all about. Even if we see all of that in the media in order to trick us, not us, but those who aren't flat earthers, it's not possible for the average human being. So, do you think that we will ever know?
I don't know.
I mean, that could be the thing.
Metallica was there. And that was the point I'm trying to make. I mean, yeah, you can visit these little visitor centers, and they have these established little areas you can go to, you can fly to, you can do these things and take lots of pictures. But every place would have a visitor center. Even the CIA has a visitor center. Doesn't mean once you go you can't go wander around the CIA building and see what else they have.
Yeah, I went to NASA in Houston, at least the part that's the visitor center, sort of a museum, but I can't go into the deep bowels of NASA and poke around and, no, of course not. Well, what about 24-hour midnight sun, by the way?
Oh, that's a fascinating issue. I actually emailed Antarctic Logistics. It's a website. They offer supposedly flights to the South Pole, but also overnight camping. Now, if anyone would know about the 24-hour sun, would be people who have camped in Antarctica. I lived in Russia. I know what the midnight sun is. And it's fun. It's like a party time. You stay up till 2 a.m. and the sun's still out. That stuff is fun. And I went on Antarctic Logistics website, and they have all these testimonials and videos, and nobody talks about the midnight sun, the 24-hour sun. And I find that strange, because you would think that would be something huge for someone who went camping in Antarctica.
It would be one of the reasons you went, like a bucket list. We're going to Antarctica. We've got to see some penguins and definitely the midnight sun.
Yeah, so I emailed them. Yes, I am out trying to find information. I emailed the guy, and I was very polite, but I asked him explicitly. I said, have you or anyone in your company ever witnessed the 24-hour sun? I said, to actually see the sun stay above the horizon for 24 hours. And he wrote me back with an email, and he said, I don't understand your questions. Why don't you go search official sources?
Facebook.
And that was the most, for a company that wants to encourage people to come there, that is evasive. That's crazy. Why would they even answer like that? I find that very strange. So I'm skeptical, highly skeptical, that there's any 24-hour sun in Antarctica, especially after the fakery videos that we've seen.
Oh yes, videos with splices and
where they loop the video, stuff like that. Obvious fakery. So no, I'm not going to trust any video now from Antarctica that supposedly shows a 24-hour sun, because how hard would that really be to fake? But when you try to ask people who've been there, and they say, why don't you search official sources? That's insanity. And having a few of the flat Earth, I forget his name, but he went to Antarctica as a technician. He said he never saw the 24-hour sun there in Antarctica.
The Antarctic plumber.
Yeah.
Right. He seems to have disappeared from the scene. I don't mean disappeared in a bad way. Oh, we seem to have picked up an echo. I wish that would disappear. Oh, it's gone now. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, he seemed to have stopped doing videos as far as I know. So, but he was an interesting source because he worked there and stayed there for a long time and had lots of pictures of himself there interacting with other people. So it wasn't that he was a liar or anything. And I don't think there was anything nefarious about his disappearance. Sometimes life happens, you get pulled in other directions. You get involved with other people who don't want you to be involved in this anymore, like loved ones. So we don't really know what went on there. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. I don't believe there is one there. But then again, I hate beliefs. I want knowledge. I want facts.
Oh, I think we could figure it out if we took a boat to the 60th South parallel and then compared it with a location at like St. Petersburg, Russia, or in Anchorage or something at the 60th South parallel, and measured and timed it and did different things like that. You could figure it out. But again, you're going to have to charter a boat. You're going to have to do those things. And hopefully Flat Earth Core, I think that was one of their projects, is to see if there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. I hope they do it. I really do.
Me too.
I am a Flat Earth Core supporter.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, not F Flat Earth Core. I know it's F Functional Engineering or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Core.
I know. When I first heard about it, I thought the FE stood for Flat Earth Core, but it on a very subtle level, like just between you and me, it kind of stands for Flat Earth, although it stands for Field Engineers.
Oh, yeah.
But that's so that people in the outside world who don't know about Flat Earth, or who would laugh at the words Flat Earth in the same sentence, would think, Field Engineers, sure, you can come use our property to do an experiment, but Flat Earthers, oh no, no tinfoil hats here, please. So I think it was a good idea.
I do have to say that we should all not, I mean, we have to trust some people, but we shouldn't trust anyone with respect to, we should all be out testing this. I mean, I went out there with my wife. We've done several tests now. We took a spotlight. We went out to Utah Lake. She stood on the other side, actually placed the spotlight on the ice, and I was able to film her from only two and a half feet off of the ice.
That was a great video too. That and the one you just did are the two videos that kind of gave me like a thrill, I guess. You know, they were very like, yeah. You and your wife have 4 children, as far as I know, and
Yes.
you're a busy man working and doing your things on Flat Earth stuff on the side.
Starting a wedding business, but I can't tell you too much about that.
A wedding business, that sounds very pleasant. That sounds really, actually really nice.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic, but I don't want to spoil it and cause some problems or anything like that before it actually gets launched. But next time you're in Vegas, make sure you let me know, and we'll do a show, and you'll have the most spectacular experience ever. So,
as long as you don't call it Global Weddings Are Us.
Yeah, I won't let that happen.
Yeah. You are also a deeply Christian man, and that's where your heart is, and I want to find out how you found out about Flat Earth. What videos did you see, or did you hear people talking about it, and how did it correlate with the Bible and your thoughts on that?
Well, let's start with the first question, with how did I find out, and that was Jibby Jedi's fault.
I know you're good friends with Jibby, and I know
I really like him. We've been friends for years now, but we started, it might have been Godlike Productions or Lunatic Outpost, one of these websites where I got to know him because I was putting out a whole bunch of threads about how the moon landings are fake, putting out 50 points why the moon landings were fake and videos like that. And I grew to respect Jibby Jedi, who had very excellent comments. And then one day he's like, yeah, but the Earth is flat. And I'm just like, okay, it's just kind of one of someone saying that they've been probed by aliens or something like that. It's kind of, I've learned in my life not to be rude and back off a little bit and say, okay, well, share me what you have. And I started asking a bunch of questions, especially my biggest hang up was the sunset. I couldn't figure that one out because I wasn't seeing any shrinking with the sun as it was setting and things like that. And but I started a thread at this Lunatic Outpost where I put out, let's argue this. I'm going to be objective and let's just argue pros for Flat Earth and against for Flat Earth. And I was absolutely stunned of how much people, how they hated me for even starting that. I wasn't a Flat Earther. But when I started this thread, I was like, these are some interesting arguments. I mean, how do you not find that interesting that you can see further than you're supposed to on the globe? Oh, you're an idiot, you're a liar, and they would just go on and on. Your math is wrong, you're doing everything wrong. And it's like, no, I'm not. This is why are you coming on here and attacking me like I'm some crazy person? I'm just trying to ask reasonable questions. And it wasn't until I had my wife, I actually bought P900 because I was like, I'm testing this myself.
And that was back in 2015 when you did.
Yeah, and I had my wife grab a mirror. She walked on the other side of a lake. I popped my camera down about 2.5 feet, and according to curvature math, which I kind of disagree with, I think you already know that, but according to the official curvature math, she should have been hidden by 12 feet. And I watched her place the mirror into the water, and that shouldn't have happened. And that's where I was like, wow, this is real. This isn't just fake stuff. There is a huge problem here. Either the world's much bigger than what they're telling us, or Earth's flat. And then we did the next test I did was a spotlight test. That's an old one in 2015. I did it from the other side, the video you saw. And again, I watched her. This was in daylight, so I actually watched her go down the entire bank with the spotlight, and she actually placed the spotlight there at the water's edge, 21 missing feet of curvature according to the official math, and I could watch her. And sorry, there's a big issue going on here, and refraction just does not explain that at all.
You and Jibby did some collabs on a few of Samuel Rowbotham's tests too.
Yeah, I had a radio show going at the same time too, and he
was that K-Talk?
Yes, K-Talk, and we had Mark Sargent on and stuff like that. They actually kicked us off because they said no more flat Earth. And,
no more truth on this station.
Yeah, and that was enough of that. It's like, it was called Taboo Conspiracy. I just kept the name. It's like, well, we're supposed to talk about Alex Jones conspiracies. Come on, And so, I worked with Jibby Jedi and on a few of those projects where he edited it. I did one of the experiments I did was when we were at the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Yes. And how did it feel to be there? I've never been. Does it feel, I mean, it sounds weird to say, does it feel flat? It obviously looks flat. Does it feel different than being other places?
Yeah, it's fun. You got to go see it. It's just one of those things you got to put on your to-do list. But I would not recommend driving on it because my wife got stuck out there in the middle of nowhere after I filmed her for about 6.6 miles, I think is what it was. And she drove out that way and she got stuck. And
yeah, I heard though about that 6.6 miles, but it cost you $600 to tow her out of there. So that's
altogether about $1,000. $1,000 to do that little test. So anyone who says, "Oh, you're getting rich off of flat Earth," it's like, people are nuts. I don't want to monetize my channel. I don't even have advertisements on my website. I don't monetize any of this. This all just costs me money, and I've spent thousands on flat Earth testing, and so. But let me get to your second question, was what about my faith? And
yes,
I honestly did not come to flat Earth from my Christian faith. I understood the Bible, but I've always understood a Bible differently than most. I kind of take a more figurative approach to the Bible, that certain verses don't necessarily mean what we think they mean. And that was kind of an old, like Jesus taught in parables, that the whole Bible is written in parables.
So you're not a Bible literalist by any means? No,
I'm not. And so I actually have a lot of Christians get upset with me. You say I'm evil for that, but so be it. I think that, so I always understood that, even though I believe that the text of the Bible would say that the earth is flat, I always believed that was just kind of all just figurative language, and it didn't really make it matter at all. But now I have put out a couple videos on the literal interpretation of the Bible supporting the flat earth, and it literally does. And so if you believe in the literal Bible, you have to be a flat earther, or you could try to weasel your way, like, is it Ken Hovind or something? But
and just forget about certain words that mean circle, not ball, and
just keep spinning and trying your best to try to make it fit together in some ridiculous pattern. But if you want to be honest, as an honest Christian, and you believe in the literal interpretation, you need to accept the flat earth as a motion, as a flat and stationary plane. You also probably have to believe in the dome or the firmament or whatever else you want to call it. But I did not come to flat earth from a Christian view. So
that's interesting. And, you know, I think that people who are Christians, they either came to it from there, or it reaffirmed their faith. So.
Yeah, but it does point out is that there is a creator.
Right. Or for people like me who didn't really have faith and didn't come from an active Christian background, it was way more passive. It woke me up to there being a creator. So
yeah, well, at the very least, I still have flat earth friends. I can only name one, but I have a good flat earth friend who's an atheist.
I do. I know one too, but I wonder about that sometimes. Are they really, or are they just trying to be edgy?
Yeah, I agree there. But I respect their views and stuff, but at least it takes out the evolution belief, you know, the whole gravity belief. For the scientists, gravity is the God. That's why I think the G is there for Freemasonry and everything, is that gravity is the God for scientism. And once you
without it, everything can't happen.
Right. You remove the Big Bang, remove evolution, remove all that. And the evidence points to a creator. And what I think it's important to get to know that creator. And for me, you can get to know the creator just by what you feel in your heart, what you rationally can come to an understanding of, looking at nature. I believe that nature symbolizes our creator as well. It's like a butterfly will go through stages of life and death and resurrection and things, and that we should study things all around us and come to an understanding of that God put his real unaltered, that no one could go in and change anything, is nature. So I'm not saying worship nature or anything like that, but that you can look at nature and see God's writings, I guess, all around us.
The handprint of God. Some people say that the firmament, if it could ever be found, other than just as in a feeling, found as in, it's there, that would be the literal handprint of God. But I think everything is, like you said, a butterfly, your children, my cats, all of us in flat earth, you and I, everyone, we are that. We are proof that of the lack of a Big Bang. I've heard a very good example that if you took a car and ran it into a wall, you wouldn't expect the parts scattered all over and things in flames to create something new. But a Big Bang supposedly did that. Why can that never happen anymore? Because it never happened to begin with.
Yeah, I put the Big Bang on kind of one of the most insane theories in the world. And for people who laugh at me because I'm a flat earther, it's like, can you believe in the Big Bang? You've never experienced, can never replicate, can never blow something up and make an advanced being after you blow something up. I mean, and you're seriously going to laugh at me because I believe in the ground that we can visibly see is flat and stationary. I mean, oh well.
And also, Ben, our scientists can't replicate gravity. We can't replicate a ball attracting another ball or any of the other things. But yet it's just believed without any proof whatsoever.
That shocked me. When I started the investigation, the serious investigation that lasted, I would say 5 months before I called myself a flat earther. But when I started that serious investigation, I thought there would be gravity detectors, like you could hold up a machine and go, okay, that's how, there's the moon's over here because the gravity detector's saying the moon is over there, or the sun's over here because the gravity detector's point. I thought all of that existed. I've never cared to really look into it in depth. And also you start looking at it, it's like, what is the ultimate proof of gravity? And the most common one is Cavendish, which when, I just did that video on that with crunching the numbers, and that's impossible. Under the official numbers, it's impossible. There's no way that he could have detected gravity with two balls.
I think that test has been replicated and always failed, as far as I remember.
Well, there's a few of them on YouTube where that has been replicated and they supposedly did it. But what they're relying on are probably the tension wires, issues with the.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what I mean by failed. There were things about it that made it seem like, nah, come on.
But all you have to do is crunch in their numbers. I put up the calculator on that video. Put in their numbers, put in the weights of the two different balls, and you can see that the ability for those to attract each other is absolutely infinitesimal, cannot be measured, can never be detected. And if it could be detected, then I absolutely could get under a solar eclipse and jump up and leap up 20 feet in the air. So they can't have it both ways.
Well, number crunching is something that you seem to enjoy. And you mentioned a little bit earlier the curvature math and how you don't believe that that's right. Tell us, for those who are new to this or who don't quite get it, and I'll let you know right away. I'm one of those that are like, okay, so tell me what does work. I'm not the one who crunches the numbers. I rely upon those who know more than me, like you. So explain what you think's really going on with the curvature.
Well, the reason why I disagree with the curvature numbers is I believe that the differing angular size between a bulge that is closer to us and objects that are further away should be considered. Right now, all they consider on curvature charts is the angle of vision, but they don't realize is that, like, you put up your thumb in front of your face, you could cover a mountain or cover a moon or whatever, but you could actually cover a mountain with your thumb. That doesn't mean the mountain's that size, which some dumb shill will say or something. But what it means is that things shrink as they get smaller away, and things closer are larger. So a curvature, a bulge that's closer to me, the horizon, which is a fascinating subject. The horizon for me, if I'm like, say, I'm looking over water at 5 feet, 6 feet, the horizon should be about 3 miles from me. That means that ground is closer to me than the objects that are going continually shrinking beyond that supposed curvature. And so since none of the calculators, none of the programs, nothing considers that angular size issue with the closer object versus the more distant object, then yeah, I disagree with the curvature charts, but I still use them all the time just because that's what everyone believes in, and I still haven't been able to prove my other issue. And so I'm still thinking about it. For whatever reason, I can't get anyone else smarter than me to jump on and help me figure it out.
What about oh, I just lost track of what I was saying because I thought I saw you move, and I'm like, because we were having, for those who don't know, when we started, we were having some weird issues with our bandwidth when things were all jumping around. What about the movie The Principal? Okay, it came back to me. What about, because this is something you said you considered early on, about the world being much bigger but still a curved globe, but that's why we can't measure it. But still geocentric. We're not moving. What are the odds in your view of that?
You can't really put numbers on these, but I would say 5% chance. Mm-hmm. But that would have to get me to believe in their spherical, like,
all
gravity, or there's the accelerometer and the gyroscope issue, the mechanical gyroscope issue, that those still aren't being detected. Was it Paul on the plane did that test with the accelerometer, flew all the way to Ireland or something? I'm not sure. But that showed flat all the way to Ireland. So either that world is so much bigger, or I don't know. I always leave it as a possibility. I don't want to get caught up and say, I know, the earth is flat or anything like that, because, new information might come out. So,
right.
And that's one of the reasons why I've chosen not to monetize anything, is because I don't want my livelihood to depend on flat earth, or, not my livelihood, because no one can really make a living at this, but I didn't want to be fiscally interested in a certain, to lean towards a certain topic based on money.
I like the title of your channel, Taboo Conspiracy. I mean, hey, I've got flat earth in the title of my video, and I did that because that was what people could search, especially early on in 2015. That would be like the keywords. Now everyone's maybe backing a little away from using the words, although they still believe it, like FE Core, for example. But I'm still glad I have it in my title. But I like the title Taboo Conspiracy a lot. And like you said, it comes from back in your K-Talk days.
Yeah. Well, I love all the subjects, especially, the Boston bombing is a huge subject for me, and the all these what I consider fake and shootings and things. But you can't talk about those things anymore. So it's still,
you can't even talk about them with people I was having a conversation about the Boston bombing with somebody while sitting in his car last night. It almost erupted into a fist fight. I'm joking, but they were literally thinking I'm nuts and crazy. And I was trying to explain the Boston bombing pants, how the flesh wasn't torn, but yet the knees of jeans were blown out. And so many that it wasn't just expensive designer pre-ripped jeans. And they said it's like they didn't see any of it. And we who are interested in looking into things, into truth seeking, we see more than the average person does, so.
Yeah, we had PK several times on a radio show, and
I like him.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, he had that video where the people are actually running towards the explosion with with sheets wrapped around their legs. What world does that have? Where people run towards an explosion?
No, that doesn't.
And then lay down. I mean, that's 100% proof it was faked. But I can't say that anymore because I'm going to get banned or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, the person I was talking with the other day said, well, what did they do? How did the people lose their legs? And I felt like I had explained quite a lot to that point. And I said, they didn't lose their legs, meaning you didn't hear all that other stuff I just said before about hiring crisis actors who already were paraplegics and the fake blood. And it was like, I felt like I was talking to a wall. And then you have to walk that fine line. You don't want to sound like you feel you're smarter than other people or have an elitist attitude that I know more than you. It's not about that. It's about trying to get truth across to people. But some people are so resistant to even look into it. I don't expect anyone to believe anything any of us say, but to just look into it.
Yeah. But a big touchy one in my family is the Holocaust issue.
Yes.
I'm an absolute believer that the Holocaust was a contrived war propaganda by the Russians.
I always say it wasn't what they told us, and that's a very light way to express.
But I've got some family members pretty much disown me for that one.
Oh,
they've read books from survivors, and there's like, oh, you're such a Muslim propaganda, stuff like that, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, if you believe the Holocaust was not what they told you exactly, or that many people couldn't have been put to death or gassed, whatever, or burned with the speed in which they did it. If you say that, you are, quote, a Holocaust denier, you're a horrible person, and you're laughing in the face of the suffering of my great grandfather, my blah blah blah, fill in the blank. And I don't know what to say. The people who are survivors, although I've never spoken to any, they survived something. There were camps, there were people there, but what happened to them, I've seen varying reports of what happened to them. And
I did an interview with the CODOH. They're a great group for researching the Holocaust because they're not Hitler lovers, and that's where I had issues with Dubé because I'm an anarchist, I don't believe there should be any government.
But he's an anarchist too.
Yeah, and then he supports Hitler, who arbitrarily, summarily put people into concentration camps without due process of law. That's wrong. I don't care which country you are. You can't lock entire families up behind barbed wire.
Right.
And I have to say that those deaths, because they were locked up, even though I think the United States contributed to those deaths by bombing supply lines, everything else. But those deaths are still on the shoulders of the Germans because they locked them up in a prison where they're trapped, where they couldn't have access to food. That's wrong.
And all the disease that went on that people died from, and the suffering and the splitting up of families, all of that stuff. You can't really be a Hitler lover, although you can look at the man and see intelligence and great leadership qualities. Even if you say that you're branded a Hitler lover, no way. He's not a good guy. But yet,
the United States was doing the same thing. And I always think, actually, I was trying to write a book at one time, and that was the point of view of the Japanese. Like, say the Japanese, the idea was the Japanese won the war. And all of a sudden, what their propaganda would say, and that we locked up the Japanese citizens, we put them in concentration camps. Would we have made sure that they got food if all of a sudden Japan invaded the homeland and broke off supply lines? Would we be really concerned about making sure the Japanese didn't starve to death? No, we wouldn't. That's just the way evil people are. And so, unfortunately, I believe the Holocaust is fake. There was no extermination order, but I also think that the Germans weren't, people that should be envied, because that was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. But I would also say the Americans and the Americans, the Brits, and the Russians and the Soviet Union engaged in so many more Holocaust, genocide, fire bombings of Tokyo, the fire bombings in Dresden, all those things are horrible crimes against humanity, and all those people should be arrested and go to prison and hanged under international law, in my opinion.
And what's happening as of April 14th, 2018, the day of this recording, we've got bombing in Syria happening again. Hey, it's the totalitarian tiptoe, or, problem, reaction, solution in effect. And right before our very eyes, again, with Assad being blamed for gassing his own people. I mean, after the first one was found to not be true, the second one people believe. Wait, huh? What? I mean, do we ever learn? Answer, no, we don't.
Absolute insanity. But I'm a vehement anti-war person, and so all this stuff, everyone who supports Trump, and you're like, I knew he was going to do this. I mean,
well, probably Hillary Clinton or whoever else got in office would do the same thing. It's not him; it's just the system, and who the real puppeteers are, the ones we don't know. We don't know their names.
It's disgusting. The fake chemical attack by the president of Syria, followed up by a real murdering of their people. And
the
our
pictures
tax dollars are going towards murdering people.
They did the same thing that they did with Sandy Hook with these pictures of children. Show them pictures of children. You don't need to show them doing anything, or it's just pictures of a baby with people surrounding the baby. But people put pieces together in the picture that aren't really there in their mind when you use children, of the suffering of children. Yeah. And what happens is, because of fake suffering to get us into bombing, then real suffering with real deaths of children occur. Ugh, what a mess. How sad. And it's easy for us because you're there in Salt Lake City. I'm here in Houston, and we've got, for me anyway, a nice day going on outside, and I can go to the grocery store. There's no bomb dropping on my roof. Easy for us to say. But in some way, unless you speak out about this stuff, all of this stuff, the Holocaust, Boston bombing, what's going on in Syria, unless you speak out, do your own research first and then speak out, you're kind of guilty in a way of perpetuating the system. And the same as talking about flat Earth. Talking about it is really our only way to wake more people up, where we might have a chance to stop this web of lies we live in.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important reason for flat Earth is, honestly, does it really matter for me everyday life whether the Earth is flat or not? But what it does say is that we live in a system that is so controlled, that we are controlled from the beginning to the end. Our ideas, our thoughts, our beliefs, everything is controlled. And so when you get people to question that, then everything else falls, because no one believes the government anymore. And that's the most important thing, is when you can get a majority of the people to actually say that the government's fake, that they're liars, that they're phonies. When that happens, then maybe change might happen. I don't know. Unfortunately, I think that they'll blow us up before they would allow change.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I often wonder if we are going to be causing our own demise by all of this waking up that we're doing. That if we get to a certain level that's already been decided by the powers that should not be, that's when the bombs come down on our heads.
Yeah, but I'm not going to stop fighting.
I agree.
No, there's worse things than death, in my opinion. One of those is just shutting up and being a sheeple.
Right. Yeah, being silent about things that matter. That's one of the most disturbing things ever. Or putting blinders on when you know something's kind of wrong with the thing, but you don't want to look into it because it's, it's going to interfere with your day. And by the way, there's a football game on tonight. And, that kind of living, which is where most people are, because most people, even if they're deep in the matrix, have seen something about maybe a chemical attack wasn't real, or maybe the earth is flat, or maybe fill in the blank, maybe 9/11 wasn't Arabs with box cutters. But what they do is they just put those blinders on. They don't want to deal with it. That is a crime.
Yeah. And all the wave flag, people grab their flags and wave them just in whenever everyone else does. It's just the conformity kills me.
Yes, exactly. How do you, with your 4 children and your wife, keep a life together where you have a professional career and a nice place, a nice sleigh bed, by the way. How do you keep that, but also this anarchist mindset that you've got going inside the same head?
Well, unfortunately, I got to keep my mouth shut a lot of the times with respect to my professional life. But for my family, my wife is a flat earther. That makes it much easier.
Oh my gosh, you are so lucky. You are living the dream.
But the only thing she has issue with is she's like, you've already proved it's flat. Why do we have to keep going out there and doing more tests?
For the people who don't know, we need as many tests as possible. That's why future experiments, continuing experiments like you do and like others do, it's very important.
Yeah, Earth Day's coming up. I'm hoping to do an experiment for Earth Day. So I say we should take it over and call it Flat Earth Day. Plaster the YouTube internet with Flat Earth Day for April 22nd.
Yeah, in early 2016 in April, I did the first Flat Earth Day mixer. It was actually the first group meetup, and it was on Earth Day. And I didn't do it the following year, but this year people are doing things. In fact, D Marble, who's in our live chat, was encouraging getting out there and doing activism and experiment like you're saying you're going to be doing. That is a really, it's taking the day, Earth Day, and making it our own, because the Earth is our own. And most likely it is not a much larger ball than they've been telling us, and it is flat. So, I mean, the thing about the much larger ball theory, but it's not moving, etc. Then what NASA shows us obviously is a lie then, still.
Yeah.
And there's still all these other things that are lies. Why, when we look at footage of the ISS, does everything look so fake if it's really just a globe still? I don't.
Right. I would definitely still say all that stuff's fake. NASA moon landings, 100% confident those are fake. International Space Station, no, people aren't up in that thing. Yes, there's something up in the sky, and yes, you can film it, but there's no people up in that other than maybe a pilot flying an airplane or something. But I don't know if you saw that last video I did on the ISS that had the lightning, and you could see the graphic manipulation of the lightning where it would expand the clouds, and then the clouds would come back together when the lightning would happen.
Wow.
So 100% fake with the International Space Station as well.
Let's theorize on that. I've heard DITRH and others say that it's a natural, well, that's good, a natural luminary. And it has been capitalized on by NASA where they can say that thing right there that comes by in a regular path, that's the ISS. What do you think it is?
I just think it's a high-flying airplane, something like a U-2 spy plane.
But how does it refuel? Why is it always on time in the places where the app said?
I would think they have several of them.
No, makes sense.
Or they engage in, they have fuel. Several of them with they get the fuel up there for them as well.
Or maybe they run on a different kind of engine that we don't know about. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's something.
Maybe it's the solar one for all I know. They can just stay up there forever. I don't know. I don't have the technology. They're the ones who've been working on this stuff. But
it would be interesting is if there were stories from native people talking about a luminary, a star or something that was always up at a certain time in the past, and then later they made it into the ISS. But we don't find that. So I guess that takes that theory out.
Well, you can actually film it with a P900, and it looks like it has structure to it. It looks like it has wings.
Yeah, but it looks so fakey and weird.
It looks different. Yeah. It definitely does look different, but it's enough to say, how hard would it be to strap on some sort of lights or holographic technology that's attached to an airplane that makes it light up and makes it look a little weirder than it normally would? I don't think that would be very hard at all to have 3 U-2 spy planes traveling the world all the time on that certain pathway. I don't think that'd be that hard. But
then again, you've got pilots, and how many of them? Not just 4 more, because someday somebody's sick. And what about if somebody's late flying,
Well, we do know that, see, I always start with the moon landing. I mean, we know the moon landings were fake. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't care what the globe shills are going to say. They were fake. They got away with that. And there must have been hundreds, if not 1,000 people involved in that conspiracy. Yet no one blew the whistle, at least not many. I mean,
Well, that's a good question. Why not? The truth is that even if, I don't know, just on a very base level, if you have a best friend and your best friend tells you a secret, you'll probably tell your wife, like, what do they call it? Pillow talk, while in bed, you'll say, yeah, my best, and maybe she might tell somebody. So that's how the real world works. And it, I think, would work within huge secrets as well, because people love to have information that other people don't have, because it makes them feel powerful, and they like to show their power by letting the other person they know something. So you'd think somebody would have said, I was on the set when they filmed the fake moon landing. But
yeah,
no.
I guess that there's some of that, but these people are military. My brother was in the military. He was in intelligence, and he will not tell me anything, absolutely anything, about what he worked on. And that's part of the military programming that they go through. That, for whatever reason, they've trained themselves to not speak about these kind of issues. And so, yeah, and if they did, let's say Armstrong tells his wife a possible scenario. What's she going to tell? She knows she can't put it out there, because I bet you those things are signed with blood that they will die. If they, like Grisham or whatever, that was killed, I think, with that in that accident there in NASA. But who was it? Who was it? The one that was killed? Anyway, I forget. That might be the wrong name. But with threats of death, things like that, your children being killed, you're not going to go out and go talk to Fox News or CNBC and try to get it out there, especially when they work for the same evil people.
Yeah, that is true. It's one of those things that you're always asked by globe believers. Why has nobody talked about fill in the blank conspiracy? And you don't really have the right answer, Oh, and by the way, you were referring to Gus Grisham, how he hung the lemon outside.
Yeah, it was Grisham. Okay.
That's a hard name to remember. I just remember the lemon, and then the weirdest astronaut name, Gus.
And I think they use that as an example. So now, hey, Gus Grisham wasn't an accident. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
I hate to see what happened to your daughter.
Right.
I mean, someone said that to me. No way. I wouldn't say a word,
It's very true, because that's really all they need to do is threaten you with, they just take you in a room and show you a picture of Gus. That they don't even need to say anything. Just that. That's enough. And that's how a lot of things might work. Like there was a documentary that came out about vaccines, and suddenly it was supposed to go all over, but suddenly it was pulled. And now I can't remember who put it together. It might have been Al Pacino. Somebody in the live chat, please correct me. All of a sudden he pulled it. And why? Because maybe he was brought into a room and shown a picture of a family member, and maybe a picture of a gravestone. It's like, you don't even need words, That's effective, because obviously we love our family.
Yeah.
It's Robert De Niro, and it's Vaxxed. Thanks to Brian Stavely for giving us the answer.
Can you watch it on YouTube?
I don't really know exactly if it's on YouTube. I remember for a while it was, the hottest thing, and then that happened. So
my sister-in-law, she just got her children vaxxed after my vehement please. But she, you know what her final statement was? Well, I would rather my child have autism than be dead.
Wow. Well, how do you argue with that logic? You throw your hands up and you just say, okay, and just move on.
And this is one of my firm beliefs. I believe goodness is more important than truth. So if it comes to the point where you're going to break off your marriage, break off your family, cut off your children, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I agree. And you can just decide to live and let live, we're having a little bit of breakup with your connection. Speak again. Oh, it looks like we might have lost Ben, and he will probably drop off the screen in a moment. I can see him as a small picture on the screen, and perhaps you can too. Oh no, I think you're back. Are you there?
Okay, good.
Good.
All of a sudden you're frozen.
Yeah, you too. And I don't know who was really frozen. Only when I watch it back, I always think it's my guest, and then later it's like, no, you were frozen. But what you were saying is that you think goodness is more important than truth.
Right. So if we get to the point where we're calling each other people names and stuff like that, stop. It's more important to be on the side of goodness than truth. So, but I believe in both. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that if it comes to the point where you're fighting and ready to punch somebody or something like that, stop. There's more important things than that.
Yes. I have that tacit agreement with my sister and brother who don't believe in flat earth. They know that I do. They know I'm not a dummy, and they understand it's very important to me. I sent them videos. They kind of said, interesting, but either I'm too busy or I don't really know if I believe that. And that's it. We don't get into fights when we're together. We don't text each other taunting things, like, what do you think about Elon Musk's car in space? I mean, that's not the text I get from a family member, and I don't send flat earth proofs to them, because we've come to the understanding that we don't have the same beliefs, but we love each other. And that's what's most important.
That's awesome.
But some people have other situations happen to them. And that's why you're very lucky that you've got your wife and she's on the same page as you.
Yeah, I've got a teenager boy, and he's a flat earther as well.
That is so. But
we're
really are living the dream. Oh, really?
Yeah, we're big into homeschooling. So, he was in calculus at like 12. It's like the school system's so ridiculous.
I went to public school, but that was in the 60s and in the 70s up through my graduation, which was 1981. And it seemed to be adequate, I guess. But I think things have disintegrated quite a lot since then. But then some people could go, wait a minute, you're a flat earther. Obviously, the school system was not adequate. Those who hate flat earth.
Yeah, programming.
Yeah.
I don't try to push my views on them. I just say, hey, I believe it's flat. You go figure it out for yourself. So read Newton's book. I don't care. I believe we should study all the different arguments and stuff, and that's why I guess I do read a lot of their materials all the time, because I'm always trying to understand exactly why they claim it is. But once you do that, when you really investigate it with an objective mind, though, you start seeing that this stuff is fake. Cavendish is a good example. Start researching, start crunching the numbers, and just with an open mind and go, wait a second, they hold this guy up as the proof of gravity, and this experiment is fake. That's huge. That should be on every scientific journal. Cavendish was a fraud. Should be all across the popular science. You won't find that. And to me, that tells you that there's a narrative. There's a narrative, and that narrative is uphold all these old the giants of science, I guess. And they will never throw them under the bus, because they still hold them up, like Foucault. Foucault supposedly detected the curvature, the rotation of the Earth with his 1800s gyroscope. Come on. I mean, we have much better gyroscopes now, and they don't detect that rotation, at least the mechanical gyroscopes. And so for them to still hold him up as proof of anything is kind of ridiculous. So,
well, the pendulum has spawned pendulums in many places, in science museums and other places, and they are moving, and there's people surrounding it, oohing and awing about it, and believing that it's proof.
I remember going into our local to the Clark Science Planetarium in Salt Lake City, and they have one of those Foucault pendulums hanging there. I went in there, and it wasn't moving; it's just hanging there.
Well, somebody's got to push it occasionally, and that's the truth.
It's so funny to me. But what they do is, I
it's on a machine, or can come unplugged or something.
Yeah, I actually did quite a bit of research on that, and they, it was Robotham first said, wait a second, you know what that is they're using a ball joint, and the ball joint will actually create the rotational effect. That's just the nature of how a ball joint works. But they also have a thing called a Chandler ring. That's what they use often now. Is that the wire has a surrounding of a ring. So wouldn't the ring be causing the circular motion of the Foucault pendulum? I think it was is Adam. Oh, I have to apologize to him later, but he had his crane out there and he's holding a huge weight and he's like, wait, what about the Foucault pendulum? How come this isn't swinging right now with this big, huge weight that I'm carrying on this crane? It's another one of those things. Maybe, I know Flat Earth Core is looking into the magnetic aspects of it, but I think it's all fake.
You saw one that wasn't moving, so that says a lot.
Right. And the fact that they have it's called Chandler's ring. You can look it up. You say, I really went into it about how to build a Foucault pendulum, and all of them include a ring. It's like, wait a second, how is that proving the rotation of the Earth when you're having an object swinging around a ring? That doesn't make any sense.
They've got one. It's pretty big. It's here in Houston, Texas at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. The first one, the one that gave it its name, was exhibited in, I believe, like the 1800s in Paris. And it is impressive looking, and it's a beautiful piece of artwork, but there's more to it than meets the eye. Much more.
And if you were a objective, honest scientist, you'd have to look at that pendulum and go, wait a second, that doesn't prove anything. And let's say it is true, it is recognizing the rotation of the Earth, then I should be able to recognize that rotation of the Earth in many more ways. Like I could launch up a weather balloon, and that balloon's going to fall back in the Pacific Ocean because the Earth just rotated underneath it at 1,000 miles per hour. You should be able to look at a volcano plume going straight up in the air and go, you see that and detect the motion of the Earth instead of rises straight up. And for instance, the volcanoes in Iceland, I can't say it, it's a hard word, but those volcanoes in Iceland that they actually traveled west and covered Europe. They went the wrong direction. They went against the rotation of the Earth. That makes no sense. I'm sorry. I don't care about motion, momentum or anything. You can't, once it goes higher up, that would mean that the smoke would have to increase speed to keep up with the ground below it. That makes no sense. You would see the evidence of the rotation in so many aspects. If you believe in the Foucault pendulum, then you also have to believe that going up in a balloon, the ground below you is going to move. So, and that's what shocked me in my investigation, is the lack of objective scientists who question anything. And I find that so disturbing in our society.
Yes. And also disturbing is the pronunciation of the Icelandic volcano. It's something like Ija Falaljuka.
I can't say it.
No one can. No one can. It's funny. D. Marvel was making some funny comments. He says he could make an anticlimactic video depicting a pendulum that doesn't move, and he'll make it 2 hours. Time out.
I like D. Marvel. I was able to meet him there at the conference.
Yeah. He's a good man and wonderful for Flat Earth, as are you, of course. It's a great group of people, all with individual talents, who are sometimes working together and even doing collabs like you did with Jimmy Jedi on the Wheels in the Sky video.
And Wide Awake. I always got to mention Wide Awake.
Wide Awake, yeah.
Filming all the time. He gets these great shots, but he likes his long videos because there's a lot of details. He doesn't want to make them short because everyone's going to miss out on the details. So he'll send it off to me sometimes and say, hey, I caught something really, really good. Can you make a video of it? And it's like, okay, I'll work on it and make something for you. But no, I really like Wide Awake. He's a great guy too. But
there's so many good people, and I could just read out the live chat, which I'm about to do. And it's basically 99% good people, 1% fools. And I pity the fool. I mean, just a few trolls in there doing some crazy trolling. That's what trolls do. But I want to say hello to Carolyn Gutman Day. We've got Arwin in here and Brian Stavely, who I mentioned earlier, who was giving us a bit of info that we didn't have at the tip of our tongue. Mark Ofsky, Joe Singh, Hey Dan, 1983, and Mr. Matty Moses, FPV Angel, Juan Carlos, Lee Redpath, Walter Williams, Utes, and we already mentioned D. Marble, Elspeth Awake, and John Desso, and Peter Birdsall, Vinny TV, as in Vincent, and we have Martin Leedkey and Cami, who goes by Aisling717 in the live chat, and Bob of Glowbusters is here, and Daniel Leather, And I'm scrolling up as I speak. Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, is here too. She made a good comment.
Oh, I like Paula. I'm actually friends with her. She helped me with my website. So
yes, I know. And we do need to talk about your website. I know you guys are close. Paula says they also cannot completely isolate the pendulum from vibration. And the more delicate the balance, the more vibration will make it move. Interesting. Didn't know that.
She's a smarty.
She certainly is. And she's really nice too. Let's see. Mellow Bear is here. That's a really nice name, actually. Scrolling up to say hi to, we already mentioned Jibby Jedi. And Sharif Shalan is here too. Freeman's Cryptoverse and Sparkly Fiend. That's kind of funny. Stephen Chess, Kate Cosmos. And I hope I've mentioned everybody. Oh, All People, Free People. David is here, who's another really nice person. And he was also at the conference. So many of these people that I'm reading names of were at the conference. But we've got new conferences coming up, too. So that'll be fun. Nora, No One's Flower, hi to you. And I'm going to stop reading them because I don't want to bore everyone. Hello to everyone. And if I didn't mention your name, you know I'm saying hi in the deepest part of my heart. Anyway, so what were we going to say? What I said, we'll get to that in a moment. Oh, your website. That's it. So tell us about your website.
Well, it's supposed to be a collaboration of Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, and Jibby Jedi and I, but lately it's been just me. So it's a place. The only reason I created it, or we created it, was because everyone was editing us on these forums. Like, they would also delete your entire thread. All the work that you put in, all the research, everything would just get deleted overnight. And I was kicked off a couple of forums because of Flat Earth, which again, that was fascinating to me, how you could go in and basically say an alien, search your butt, but you could not mention Flat Earth. I mean, why does the society have such a knee-jerk response? To me, that says programming. I mean, that's the only explanation is, why does everyone hate it so much? And it's not because none of us have seen the curvature. I mean, admittedly, no one has seen it. And so yet, but people hate you so much because don't question my religion. But anyway, started the website because I could keep track of our arguments, keep track of everything that we collected without anyone coming in and changing it. So yeah.
The only one that can delete it is Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, since she helped you put it together.
Everything. But honestly, it just costs money, and I don't make my money on it. So it's just kind of like, I don't know how many people visit it. I try to update it as often as I can, but it's just kind of a one-person show right now, and I've got a life. I can't just sit here and just playing on the internet all the time. But
you've got an Earth Day experiment to get to.
Yeah, I got
it. So is it tabooconspiracy.com?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
I'll put a link in the description box, but it's easy to remember.
Yeah. It's I would actually hope that somebody out there who loves to write, who loves this stuff, could say, hey, I'll help you. I can help write. I can help fill up the website and stuff, because it's a lot of work just for someone like me. I still have my job. I still have my profession. I still trying to build a business. And most importantly, I have a family, and I got to spend time with my kids, because that's the most important thing out there.
Yeah, exactly. That is what's most important. So consider that an all call. If you'd like to help Ben out with a Taboo Conspiracy website, just shoot him an email. How do people get a hold of you?
tabooconspiracy@gmail.com.
That's easy. It's all easy. The name, it all is one. So you've got it unified. I mean, some people don't have it.
Is I have to vet them. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just give them all your passwords, and it's some globe shill that was playing games with me and deletes it all the next day. So if you did come on, excuse me, but I'll have to vet you. I'll have to figure out, unless I know you, like you've been commenting on my channel before. But I just can't allow someone come in there and delete everything, because that would be horrible.
One thing you've got on your channel that we didn't touch on, because we did talk about Christianity, is you've got the KJV Bible, different aspects of it, some really pretty long portions. What inspired you? Obviously God, but what inspired you to put that on your channel when it's got mostly the flat earth stuff on it?
You're talking when I just put on the Bible itself?
Yes, New Testament.
For me, that's more important than flat earth, and
yes.
And I put those on there. actually, I use them all the time because the segments last 11 hours. And
Oh yeah, they're long. Well, it's great in a way though, because they're so long and you've broken them up into part 1 of 2, part 2 of 2, Roman Revelations. If this is something that you're interested in, but you don't have time to read, something to put on and go about your day and just listen.
Yeah, I just stick it on in the car when I drive so I can just starts again. And so I actually love those videos. I put them up there for myself more than anything, just because I always wanted to have access to them. But I thought maybe a few other people might like to watch them as well, because Alexander Scorby, he's to me the best reader of the Bible. He's just got a great voice.
There's somebody that is a big fan of yours, and I want to give him a shout out. Anthony Riley, Sleeping Warrior. And Anthony told me when I told him I was going to have you on, he said he's one of my favorite. No, he said he's my favorite flat earther. It wasn't one of. He's my favorite flat earther. He's either being overly generous or honest, but either way, it's really nice.
Generous, absolutely.
That is cool.
He's the first guy I actually spoke to. He's like, get on Skype and talk to me. He's like, I don't know how to use Skype. And so I think he forced me to figure it out. He actually sat down, just like you did with Google Hangouts. He helped me figure out how to use Skype. So
now you use Skype and connect with people. And now you've got Google Hangouts set up with your computer. So you can do live streams now if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you always could do them, but you don't need to worry about how to set it up because you're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Anthony Riley get me started, but he has some pretty good experiments as well. So, and that's what's most important to me is I love the experiments. I love people going out and testing it in new ways and kind of coming up with new ideas. I wish, this is my personal thing. I wish people would test more of the horizon. I feel like just 1 or 2 of us are out there testing the horizon. I think that's such an important issue that's so overlooked.
So are there certain people that if you were put in charge for the day that you would say, you're good at it, you, and you do it? Who would you pick on your dream team to test the horizon?
Well, there's I should have looked up his name. I apologize to him. I think it's Alex, but he's from Italy. He goes out there and does tests on the horizon. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Just the language barrier with the Italian. But anyone who has a P900, it's easy. You just go out there, find a nice calm lake and find a place where you can measure with like an inlet or something that you can get the distance to. And if you can drag that camera down to 0.7 inches off of the water, that horizon should only be 0.8 miles away. And you can see miles beyond that 0.8 miles. That alone proves that the model's wrong. There's something wrong there. And refraction is not going to have that much of an effect over just 0.8 miles. That's impossible. I don't believe that one bit. I could go out there and shoot time lapses of the horizon and it'll never change except for when the waves start.
I do want to mention that I touched on it before, but again, one more time, that tomorrow, which is April 15th, 2018, you're going to be on with Curious J and DITRH.
I think that's tonight.
Is it tonight?
Yeah, tonight, like 9.
Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe it is. So I hate to say something that's not right. So maybe DITRH will correct me. You're on soon to do the Flat Earth podcast with Curious J and DITRH. And yeah, maybe it's this evening, something along those lines. Anyway, that's something that you've got coming up. So are you familiar with Curious J and the way the Flat Earth podcast works? Are you excited?
I don't even know. I hate to say it, but I don't even know how to access the Flat Earth podcast. So this is something else that I'll be figuring out as we're moving along.
This is like a lot of stuff that's new technology things have come into your life just
exactly
today,
especially podcasts and stuff. But David, I know very well. He actually was on our radio show very often, because I have to say Matt Powerland didn't show up several times when he was scheduled to be on our show. Mm-hmm. And why he would do that got me angry several times, because first time he apologized, said he was so sorry. Next time it's like, come on, you slept.
Yeah, this is important. If you say Flat Earth's important, then act like it is.
Yeah, don't show up. Don't schedule a radio show and don't show up. That sucks when all of a sudden you're ready to do a radio show at 5 a.m. and your guest doesn't show up. But David, I called him up and he showed up both times immediately. He's like, I'll get on. And yeah, so he's my friend, because he saved me a couple of times from having to do shows with no guest. which would have just been awful.
I'm looking back at my Skype conversation with David when he and I were chatting about you. Lots of juicy gossip. No, not really. He said that you're his guest at 9 p.m. Sunday.
No, I think it's tonight. It just got changed like a couple of hours ago.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, then. It got changed. All right, perfect. I just don't want people to have the wrong info. So, boom. What else is going on in our live chat?
I did want to ask you, what do you think about the nuke idea?
Wait,
are you a nuke hoax person?
Oh, for a second, it cut out where I was. Nuke hoax. Humans are fallible. Humans make mistakes. Humans drop and break things. All of us. I know I do. You'd think that in all this time when we've had nuclear weapons, there would have been a nuclear weaponry, not reactor, nuclear weaponry accident. But there hasn't been. So just that makes me think that they're not real. But then again, there are so many things that cite nuclear weapons. And if you look at times like Hiroshima and you look at the pictures, all that could be firebombs. And all the footage that we get of from the past, the testing footage looks completely fake with, little cardboard model houses being blown down.
That's one of my favorite videos I have of the streamers. I don't know if you ever saw that one, where the streamers they put in front of the nuclear weapons and they don't move. So entire houses and cities are blown down. Well, they look like models, but the streamers never move.
It reminds me of the Boston smoke bomb, as PK would call it, where the bomb went off, but in some cases glass didn't break, or 9/11 in the Pentagon when supposedly the plane cut through and there was like a coffee cup and a computer sitting inside the portion that was, and it didn't fall or break. I mean, yeah, all of that. But then again, it could be real. I don't have proof and I don't want to believe, but my conspiracy nose tells me nukes aren't real. Is that where you are with it too?
Yeah, that's where I am. But, it could be, like I said, it could change. Prove it to me. I mean, it needs to be proven to me.
Now, I know Mark Sargent, who I do a show with every Wednesday, the Secret Show, where we sort of chat back and forth casually. He believes in nuclear weapons for sure, and he's not ashamed to admit it. And I like that about him. There's things he has beliefs about or thoughts about, and he's not afraid to go against the common flat earth way of thinking.
And that's fine. I have nothing against that. What about dinosaurs? I gotta ask.
See, the thing is that first, of course, we all believed in dinosaurs. We were programmed heavily with that. I mean, even the Flintstones cartoon, for gosh sakes. And then later I thought, well, definitely they're not real. And then I read things that they could have coexisted with humans. Or maybe they're really just dragons, and all of this stuff. I'm like, okay, so dragons are real? What do I believe? What do I not believe? I don't know. So have they found heads of dinosaurs? Some people say no, they haven't. And then I read a story that says they have. But that could be just a story put there because flat earthers and dinosaur deniers have said there aren't any heads. And so they magically produce a head. Like I said earlier, I'm torn on this one, but I'm going to go with no. What about you?
Well, my wife, she worked for an excavator who's been an excavator for 30 years. I mean, we'd go out there and watch them blow down, they put roads through mountains. Okay. So they put in the dynamite. It was actually a lot of fun. And they would blow up these, detonate the dynamite. So they put it the road in. These guys have never seen dinosaurs. But a PhD can just walk out somewhere, pound in the rock and find a dinosaur.
Right.
No, statistically speaking, excavators should be coming across dinosaurs all the time.
True.
But they don't. That's why I don't believe in it, because normal people that move dirt, that dig all the time, that are, blasting away mountains. And in Utah, we have a huge dinosaur park. Where are all the excavators who put in the roads finding these dinosaurs? They don't find them. But it takes someone with a degree to go in there and go, I know where to dig, right in this rock right here. I mean, I'm sorry, that's nonsense. So no, I don't believe in dinosaurs, but that's, again, if I come across one, someone can actually show me one personally that they dug out. And, the other issue I have is, how do they know the difference between a rock and the dinosaur part?
Right, exactly.
You
And
know,
how do they know the difference when carbon dating doesn't really work? The age of it, you know?
yeah, sorry, just because you dug something out of the ground doesn't make it real.
Yeah, I could find some chicken bones in my backyard, and things fossilize much quicker than people think. So, you know, I've seen a fossilized cowboy boot before. Obviously, that doesn't date back to when dinosaurs were on the earth, but it's still fossilized.
But you would think that, you know, these excavators who, you know, dig through mountains, and all of a sudden they look on the side of the wall that they just blasted, they'd see the outline of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You know, you would think that would happen. That it would show. And of course, a couple of shills will go, "Oh, here, some kid found a dinosaur." Oh, come on. You know, the kid's parents was a geologist at the university. And
said, "Johnny, go out to that little lot, and then on the right side near the corner, take your teaspoon and dig." And then, "Mom, Dad, look."
And the news agency shows up just on cue, you know.
Convenient. Well, another thing is the structure of dinosaurs, like the T-Rex. That doesn't seem like it could possibly exist. The creator made very smart judgments when it put together human beings. The way our bodies are and our hand, everything, it works. Everything works magically if you're in healthy condition. But the way that the head size is and the little arms, and it doesn't look like something that was intelligently designed.
Right.
What about your children? I mean, if you have children, they went through the dinosaur loving phase, taught about it.
We don't have the dinosaur loving phase in our house, funny enough. So, you know, they watch, of course, it's like I prohibit videos. They'll watch the silly dinosaurs, but we, you know, just like any other monsters type cartoon, that's how we kind of treat it in our household. It's just another.
Like Godzilla, not real, but scary.
Yeah, you know, if people want to believe in it, that's their business. But I got to thank Eric Dubé for putting out his dinosaur video, because I think that was the first one where I was like, you know, I'm gonna look into this. And then you start asking some questions, start calling up some excavators and asking them, "Hey, have you ever seen a dinosaur bone?" And they're like, "Oh, no." It's like, have you moved? You know, how many mountains have you moved? You know, I've moved. These people have moved for 30 years. They've moved mountains and they never find a dinosaur bone, but the PhD guy just knows right where to look. You know, I'm sorry, but that story stinks.
Something interesting about Godzilla, because I just mentioned jokingly Godzilla, in the late 50s, Godzilla movies started, the King of the Monsters. And so I don't remember the whole thing. I think we've all seen the black and white, you know, that kind of looks like a sort of a T-Rex mixed with, I don't know, a dragon. I don't know that. Godzilla in general was supposed to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the product of some kind of a nuclear explosion reaction. Yeah. So boom, we got both the nuke hoax and the dino sort of hoax put together in one creature in, guess when? The 50s, when all of this deception really started to crank up.
Yeah, it did. I just never really thought about it being the 50s was when it really started.
Seems like it. Yeah, or maybe even the late 40s. War of the Worlds with space programming. It's been going on probably for a super, super, super long time, and in ways that we don't even know. Well, I got corrected by DITRH that yes, the time is different, and it is going to be recorded tonight, not Sunday as it was previously scheduled, but it's not live anyway. So now you know, and now I know. So on Flat Earth Podcast. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to talk to you on the show.
Well, thank you, but I appreciate it. But I, you know, be big in this. I don't want to really be big or anything. I don't even want to be anybody. I just I'm a person who loves the truth, and I just want to share it as I see it. I mean, of course, I get things wrong now and then. I mean, I'm sticking my nose out trying to guess on things, trying to figure things out, while no one else in the official mainstream science is out trying to second guess anything. So
You have many, I don't want to use the word fans because you know, I know you say you don't want to be big. You're very self-effacing. None of us want to be big. We just want to try to make a difference, you know, in some way here, because this is important. None of us would be doing this, going against mainstream views, having people laugh at us and troll us and dox us and try to humiliate us and make hit pieces on us. Nobody wants to sign up for that unless they have the love of truth in their heart. So you obviously do. And you get more popular due to the fact that people like you and like what you're putting out and can see the authenticness in you.
Well, I try to be honest. That's all I can say. But again, I could be wrong about things, but
yes,
we all could be. Logical arguments. Stop the name calling, for crying out loud.
Oh, yes, indeed.
You know, I've gotten to the point someone starts off with flat tart, I just automatically just block them.
Block, delete, move on.
Because I mean, I get called an idiot, I swear, 10 times a day. This kind of drags on you a little bit.
Yeah. And the thing is that it doesn't ever make you question your intelligence. It does make you question whether or not this is a good use of your time on earth when you could be playing with your kids, hanging out with your wife, you know, just doing something that would be more, you know, uplifting to your soul. But in the end, even if you say, I'm going to stay off YouTube for a while, it drags you back every time because we're all connected and we all like to see what each other are doing and what's the newest thing coming out. And knowledge scavenger, Paula writes, exactly, Patricia. Nobody signs up for oppression unless it's a conviction of truth. And so, yeah, we're here on a mission. I want to say hi to Authentic Intent and Zane, who've come into the live chat, and Post Globe Awareness is here as well. And that does it for this show. Thanks to all in the live chat for being here. Give the video a thumbs up, and in the description box, we have tabooconspiracy.com. If you forget, go there and it's there, or you're hearing me saying it now, so you can look it up yourself. Also, you can subscribe to Ben's channel, Taboo Conspiracy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
We'll see each other and talk soon, I'm sure. To all, keep it flat.